It is 1957. A man in a white lab coat stands in a small room at Harvard University and watches a pigeon press a lever. The pigeon is not hungry. It was fed before the experiment. But it presses the lever anyway. Again and again and again. The man watching is B.F. Skinner. And he is not surprised. He designed it this way. What Skinner discovered in that room, in that quiet, unremarkable experiment, would eventually be used to engineer a behavior that now affects 4 billion people on Earth. You are one of them. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That is once every 10 minutes. You probably think you check yours less than that. Research consistently shows that people underestimate their screen time by roughly half. But here is the part that should stop you cold. You are not checking your phone because you want to. You are checking it because someone figured out how to make you unable to stop, and they use psychology that is more than 60 years old to do it. B.F. Skinner was, in the 1950s, the most influential psychologist alive. He believed that all human behavior, every choice, every habit, every compulsion, could be explained by what came after that behavior. Reward a behavior and it increases. Punish it and it decreases. He called this operant conditioning. It sounds simple because it is. But it was what he discovered next that changed everything. Skinner tested different reward schedules. He gave pigeons food pellets every time they pressed a lever. Every 5th press. Every 10th press. Then he tried something different. He made the reward completely random. Sometimes the pigeon pressed once and got a pellet. Sometimes it pressed 40 times and received nothing. There was no pattern. No rule. No way to predict when the reward was coming. And the pigeon could not stop. Skinner called this the variable ratio reinforcement schedule. And what it produced was something he had never seen before, behavior that was almost impossible to extinguish. The pigeon would press the lever thousands of times without a reward and still not give up. The uncertainty, it turned out, was not a bug. It was the engine. This finding was not ignored. By the 1970s and 1980s, casino executives were redesigning slot machines based directly on Skinner's variable ratio research. They removed the physical lever and replaced it with a button. They sped up the cycle. They added near-miss outcomes, 2 cherries, not 3, because near-misses activate the same neurological response as wins. Slot machines became the most profitable gambling product ever created. Not because of skill or chance. Because of a pigeon pressing a lever in 1957. Now move forward to 2004. A company called Facebook launches at Harvard University. By 2006, it is open to everyone. And somewhere inside the early architecture of what it was becoming, engineers faced a problem that was, by then, very old. How do you get people to come back? In 2009, Facebook introduced the like button. Its creator, Justin Rosenstein, later described it as something designed to spread positivity. And in the beginning, it did. People saw their posts receive likes. It felt good. But what the engineers noticed, and what they optimized for, was something else entirely. The like button was a variable ratio reward machine. You posted something and you did not know if it would get 1 like or 1,000. You did not know when the likes would come. So you checked. And then you checked again. The uncertainty was the mechanism. Skinner's pigeon, in a smartphone. In 2013, a man named Tristan Harris was working as a design ethicist at Google. He was 28 years old, with a degree from Stanford in persuasive technology, a field that studies how to use psychology to change human behavior through design. And one afternoon, he sat down and wrote a presentation. He called it, A Call to Minimize Distraction and Respect Users' Attention. In it, he argued something no one at a major technology company had ever said out loud in an official document, that the apps they were building were not addictive as a side effect. They were addictive by design. Deliberately. Intentionally. Using psychological principles that they knew produced compulsive behavior. He sent it to a small group of colleagues. Within days, it had spread to 5,000 people inside Google. Nothing changed. Harris resigned. He later testified before the United States Senate. In 2017, Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, gave an interview that most people have now forgotten but probably should not have. He described the founding logic of Facebook this way: the thought process that went into building these applications was all about, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? And that means that we need to give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while, because someone liked or commented on a photo. That is going to get you to contribute more content, and that is going to get you more likes and comments. It is a social validation feedback loop. He ended the interview by saying, "God only knows what it is doing to our children's brains." He said it with a laugh. It was not a comfortable laugh. There is one more feature on almost every app you use that you have probably never thought about. Infinite scroll. It was invented in 2006 by a designer named Asa Raskin. His idea was simple: remove the friction of pagination. No more clicking to the next page. Content just continues. Raskin later calculated that his invention causes 600 million additional hours of internet use per day. He went on to co-found the Center for Humane Technology. He has said publicly that he regrets building it. It is as if, he said, they took behavioral cocaine and sprinkled it over the interface. But of all the mechanisms, there is one that most directly mirrors Skinner's lever. The notification badge. That small red circle with a number inside it, sitting on your app icon. When you see it, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of a reward that might be inside. It might be something important. It might be nothing. You do not know until you tap. That uncertainty is the variable ratio. That is the pigeon pressing the lever. The number inside the badge is almost irrelevant. What matters is that it exists. And then there is pull to refresh. You grab the screen, pull it down, and watch it reload. On Twitter. On Instagram. On your email. This gesture was designed, consciously, deliberately, by interface engineers who knew exactly what they were doing, to mimic the physical action of pulling a slot machine lever. The resistance. The pause. The release. The reveal. Sometimes there is new content. Sometimes nothing. You do not know which until you pull. You are the pigeon. Your phone is the box. The app is the lever. Here is what 6 to 8 years of this does to a human brain. It shortens your capacity for sustained attention. Not because your brain has become weaker, but because it has learned that sustained attention is no longer required. Short burst, check. Short burst, check. The brain adapts to the environment it is trained in. It trains your nervous system to seek constant novelty. Stillness begins to feel like a problem to be solved. A few seconds without stimulation and your hand moves toward your phone without conscious instruction. This is not a character flaw. It is operant conditioning. Applied to a human. At scale. Over years. There is something worth saying here that tends to make people very quiet when they hear it. The people who built these systems largely do not use them. Steve Jobs did not give his children iPads. Former VP of User Growth at Facebook, Chamath Palihapitiya, said publicly in 2017, "I feel tremendous guilt." The inventor of the Facebook like button installed software to block himself from using Facebook. The architects of the behavioral trap removed themselves from it. They built the box. They did not step inside. So what do you do with this? First, you stop blaming yourself. The difficulty you have putting your phone down is not a willpower failure. It is a correctly functioning psychological mechanism being deliberately triggered by systems engineered to trigger it. Knowing this is not a cure. But it changes the question. The question is no longer, why cannot I stop? The question is, what would I have to change in my environment to make the variable ratio mechanism stop firing? The research is clear on this. Out of sight, out of mind is not a cliché, it is neuroscience. Phones not visible during a task produce measurably better cognitive performance than phones present but face down. The mere presence of the device, even silent, consumes working memory. Distance is the intervention. Not willpower. The pigeon could not stop pressing the lever as long as it was in the box. The question was never about the pigeon's willpower. It was always about the box. In 1957, a pigeon in a box at Harvard pressed a lever it did not understand, waiting for a pellet that came at random, unable to stop even when the pellets stopped entirely. It was not a stupid pigeon. It was a normal brain responding normally to the most powerful reinforcement schedule ever discovered. You are not a stupid person. You are a normal brain. And for the last decade, 4 billion of us have been sitting inside the box. The psychologist who figured out why you cannot stop checking your phone figured it out before your phone existed. He figured it out watching a bird. The question he never had to answer, because he died in 1990, the year the World Wide Web was invented, is what a creature does once it understands the box it is in. That question is yours. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it meaningful. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing, sharing the video, and leaving a comment below. Your support and feedback truly encourage us and help motivate us to create more thoughtful videos like these. Thank you for being part of the journey.